The thing keeping you stuck isn't confusion. It's fear, my love, but not fear of failing. Fear of what happens if you succeed. Fear of who you'll disappoint. Fear of what you'll lose. Fear of becoming somebody your current life can no longer contain. And that's the smoke signal. Because if that's true, then what else have you been calling confusion that was really fear?
Breathe the smoke signal, ignite the flame, stand tall and let your spirit claim the victory, the freedom, the reign over my life. I choose to remain.
Hey, come on in the room, my love. Welcome to Smoke Signals, where we never just watch the fire. We heed the warning, my love. Today, the comfort of confusion is where we're going to start, because I think confusion gets a bad reputation because confusion sounds innocent, right? Confusion lets us believe we need just a little bit more information, a little more time, a little more clarity. But what happens when you already know? What happens when the answer has been sitting in your spirit for months, sometimes years? You know the conversation you need to have. You know the boundary you need to set. You know the opportunity you've outgrown. You know the relationship you already emotionally left. But as long as you call it confusion, you don't have to move. And movement is where fear lives. What fear is really protected? Because here's what I've learned. Most people aren't afraid of change. They're afraid of loss. Not losing the thing, though. Losing what the thing represents. Maybe it's not the relationship. Maybe it's the future you imagine with that person. Maybe it's not the job. Maybe it's the identity attached to the title. Maybe it isn't the friendship. Maybe it's the version of yourself that existed inside that friendship. And when we realize that, everything changes. Because suddenly we understand we're not fighting for the present. We're fighting for a future that already expired. Whew. And this is where it gets uncomfortable. Because sometimes the thing we're most afraid of losing is ourselves, or at least the version of ourselves that got us through. The people pleaser, the fixer, the caretaker, the overachiever, the strong friend, the woman who made herself smaller so everybody else could stay comfortable. That version of you worked hard. That version protected you. That version helped you survive, right? But survival and alignment aren't the same thing. And sometimes growth requires honoring who that woman was while refusing to stay her. And this right here is the part nobody talks about. Growth has a grief process. Even when it's healthy, even when it's necessary, even when it's beautiful. Because every time you become somebody new, something old has to go. And even if that old version of you hurt you, you still mourn her. You mourn the certainty, the familiarity, the routine, the identity. And that's why so many people think they're stuck when really they're grieving. What if the thing you're calling confusion is actually a doorway? What if the discomfort you're feeling is evidence that you already outgrew the room? What if the fear isn't proof that you're making the wrong decision? What if the fear is proof that you're making the wrong decision? What if it's proof that you're standing at the edge of a new version of your life? Because here's what I want you to consider. The life you're meant for may require a version of you that your current circumstances can't accommodate. And that's scary, but it's also beautiful, my love, because everything you've been searching for might be waiting on the other side of a decision you've already made in your heart. So maybe, just maybe, the question isn't, what if I lose something? Maybe the question is, what if I lose something that no longer fits? Because sometimes what feels like loss is alignment. Sometimes what feels like ending is freedom. And sometimes the hardest part of becoming who you're meant to be is letting go of who you need it to be. Honor who you are. Be who you're becoming.